jealousy towards Eari as an opportunity for revenge. He conspired with some of the village girls who despised Eari, planning to kidnap her and sell her to a sea merchant. In the remote village of Nandu lived a girl with an extraordinary gift. Her name was Eari, and she had the unique ability to communicate with animals. This gift, however, was not seen as a blessing by the villagers. To them, Eari was a strange girl, one to be avoided and mocked. With her brown skin, long shiny black hair, and deep ocean-colored eyes flecked with stardust, she was a striking figure, but her beauty was often overshadowed by the villagers' scorn. Chapter 1. The Loneliness of Eari. Eari wandered the outskirts of the village, speaking to the birds, the squirrels, and the occasional stray dog. Her only human companion was Limu, a stable boy at the palace. Limu was an outcast himself, a poor boy with a large frame and a gentle heart. Together they found solace in their shared outcast status, forming an unbreakable bond. "Why do they hate us so much?" Eari asked one day, her eyes reflecting the sorrow she felt. "People fear what they don't understand," Limu replied. "But I see your gift as something wonderful, Eari, and I will always be your friend." Chapter 2. The Lost Horse. One summer's day, panic swept through the village. Prince Haroon's favorite horse, a magnificent stallion named Asta, had disappeared. The prince was devastated, and a reward was announced. Whoever found Asta would be granted a royal role in the palace. Limu, always thinking of Eari, rushed to her with the news. "Eari, this could be our chance," Limu said, his eyes wide with excitement. "If you can find the horse, they'll have to see your worth." Eari hesitated, but Limu's hopeful gaze spurred her on. She closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind to the animals of the forest. In the stillness, she heard a distressed neigh, faint but clear. Chapter 3. The Betrayal uncovered. Eari and Limu followed the sound, trekking through the dense forest until they came upon a clearing. There, hidden among the trees, was Asta. To their shock, the horse was not lost but had been hidden by the head of the palace guard, who planned to sell the stallion for a fortune. "This is treason," Limu whispered, his face pale with fear. "We have to tell the prince," Eari replied, her voice steady with determination. Chapter 4. A new light in the palace. When Eari and Limu returned to the village with Asta, the news spread like wildfire. The villagers, who once mocked her, now looked at Eari with a mix of awe and suspicion. She was brought to the palace, where Prince Haroon himself awaited. "Eari," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have done the kingdom a great service. Name your reward." Eari, overwhelmed by the grandeur of the palace and the prince's presence, simply asked for a place for Limu in the stables. The prince, intrigued by her modesty and beauty, insisted on more. Over time, he sought her company, fascinated by her ability to communicate with animals and her pure heart. Chapter 5. The envy of others. As the prince's interest in Eari grew, so did the jealousy and spite from the other girls in the village. They saw her as a threat to their ambitions and began to spread rumors, mock her openly, and isolate her further. "She bewitches the prince with her sorcery," one girl whispered. "She's not fit to be among us, let alone in the palace," another sneered. Erie's days were filled with torment, but she found strength in her bond with the animals and the unwavering support of Limu. Chapter 6. The Prince's Pursuit. Prince Haroon, oblivious to the villagers' cruelty, continued to pursue Erie's affection. He arranged for her to visit the palace gardens, where he would attempt to woo her with gifts and kind words. Eari, however, remained indifferent. Her heart was not swayed by his status or wealth. "Why do you resist me?" Haroon asked one evening, frustration tinging his voice. "I do not wish to be part of a world that has only shown me scorn," Eari replied, her eyes distant. "I want to be where I am truly valued." Haroon, struck by her words, began to see the world through her eyes. He realized that if he truly loved her, he had to understand and accept her world. Chapter 7. The Turning Tide. One day, a dire threat approached the village. A pack of wolves, driven by hunger, began to menace the outskirts. The villagers, fearful for their lives, turned to Eari for help, knowing her gift could save them. Eari, despite their past cruelty, did not hesitate. She ventured into the forest and spoke to the wolves, understanding their plight, and guiding them to a place where they could hunt without endangering the village. Her bravery and compassion softened the hearts of the villagers. They began to see her not as a strange girl, but as a savior. The prince, witnessing her courage, was more determined than ever to win her heart, not through gifts, but through understanding and respect. Chapter 8. The Unexpected Revenge. Meanwhile, the head of the palace guard, who had been shamed and removed from his position due to Erie's discovery of his treachery, harbored a deep grudge. He saw Eari as the enemy who had ruined his life, and vowed to destroy her. The prince's horse and other animals became Erie's companions, sensing her love and kindness towards them. The disgraced guard saw the growing jealousy towards Eari as an opportunity for revenge. He conspired with some of the village girls who despised Eari, planning to kidnap her and sell her to a sea merchant. One day, while Eari was alone in the forest, they ambushed and took her away, not knowing that the animals were watching. Chapter 9. The Rescue. As Eari was being taken, a squirrel who witnessed the abduction ran to the palace and communicated the urgency to Asta, the prince's favorite horse. Asta began to neigh loudly and continuously, alerting the palace with his unusual behavior. Prince Haroon, worried by his horse's distress, approached Asta. The horse made a gesture indicating the prince should mount him. As soon as Haroon did, Asta took off, galloping towards the forest with determination. With the prince and his guards following closely, Asta led them to the place where Eari was being taken. They arrived just in time to prevent the disgraced guard and his co-conspirators from selling her off. The guard and the girls were arrested on the spot. Chapter 10. Justice and Peace. Back in the palace, the disgraced guard and his accomplices faced trial. The prince made it clear that treachery and cruelty would not be tolerated, and they were punished severely for their actions. The village, seeing the prince's unwavering support for Eari, began to embrace her fully, recognizing her as the remarkable person she was. Epilogue. Eari and Prince Haroon's wedding was a celebration like no other. The village, once filled with scorn and envy, now celebrated the union of their beloved prince and the girl who had taught them the value of understanding and compassion. Erie's gift, once a source of isolation, had become a beacon of hope and unity. Limu, now a respected member of the palace staff, stood by Erie's side, his heart swelling with pride for his dear friend. The bond between Eari and Limu remained unbreakable, a testament to the power of true friendship. Eari, now a princess, continued to speak to the animals, her heart full of love for her kingdom and her prince. Together they ruled with wisdom and compassion, forever changing the fate of Nandu. And the villagers, whenever they saw Eari, would smile and remember the girl who could speak to animals, the girl who had taught them to listen with their hearts.